6 billion tons per second. That's how fast a rogue planet 620 light-years away is devouring everything around it. For context, that's 100,000 times faster than Saturn's largest moon loses its atmosphere. But here's the problem. This planet doesn't have a star. It's completely alone in the darkness of space. And according to everything we know about how planets work, what it's doing should be impossible. October 2nd, 2025, scientists published their findings. The planet is acting like a star, growing like a star. But it's not a star, and nobody can explain what's really going on. This is the story of CHA 1107-7626, the rogue planet that's breaking all the rules. Before we get into what makes this planet so strange, you need to understand what a rogue planet actually is. Most planets, like Earth, orbit around a star. That star gives them light, heat, and gravity that keeps everything in place. A rogue planet doesn't have any of that. It's been kicked out of its home solar system, or maybe it formed alone from the start. Either way, it's now drifting through space with no sun, no light, and no warmth. Scientists estimate there could be trillions of these dark worlds floating through our galaxy. Some studies suggest there might be 20 rogue planets for every star in the Milky Way. Others think the number could be even higher. We just can't see most of them because they're cold, dark, and nearly impossible to detect. But every once in a while, we find one that's doing something unusual, something that makes astronomers stop and take notice. CHA 1107-7626 is one of those planets, and what it's doing right now is something scientists have never seen before. Let's go back to 2008. Astronomers were scanning a region of space called Chameleon 1. It's a star-forming area about 620 light-years from Earth. During that scan, they spotted a dim object floating alone. They cataloged it with a boring name, CHA 1107-7626. The measurement showed it was somewhere between 5 and 10 times the mass of Jupiter. Big, but not massive enough to be a star. It wasn't orbiting anything, just drifting. They added it to the list of known rogue planets and moved on. For 17 years, it sat in observation logs gathering dust. No one paid much attention to it. After all, thousands of these objects are out there. What made this one special? Then in early 2025, a team led by Dr. Victor Almendros Abad from Italy decided to take another look. They were studying isolated planets to understand how they form and evolve. They pointed one of the most powerful telescopes on Earth at CHA 1107-7626. It's called the Very Large Telescope, or VLT, located in Chile. What they saw shocked them. The planet was surrounded by a massive disk of gas and dust. That alone wasn't too surprising. Young planets often have leftover material around them. But this disk was glowing, bright, and it was changing. Over the course of several months, the team watched the planet get brighter, not just a little bit. It flared up dramatically, like something had switched on inside it. They checked their instruments, ran the numbers again, brought in NASA's James Webb Space Telescope to confirm. The readings were real. This rogue planet, sitting alone in the cold darkness of space, was pulling in material from the disk around it, and it was doing it fast, really fast. When they calculated the speed, the number that came back was staggering, 6 billion tons per second. Let's pause for a second and really understand what 6 billion tons per second means. Imagine a freight train, a fully loaded one, weighs about 10,000 tons. Now imagine 600,000 of those trains all being swallowed up every single second. That's what this planet is doing. To give you another comparison, Saturn has a moon called Titan. It has a thick atmosphere that's slowly leaking into space. The rate at which Titan loses its atmosphere is about 60,000 tons per second. That sounds like a lot, right? CHA 1107-7626 is eating material 100,000 times faster than that. But here's what makes it really strange. Normally, when a planet grows this fast, it's because there's a star nearby. The star's gravity and heat drive the whole process. The star pulls in material from a surrounding disk, and planets forming around it get to feed on what's left over. CHA 1107-7626 doesn't have a star. The closest star to it is over 8 light-years away. That's more than 47 trillion miles, way too far to have any influence. So how is this planet growing so fast without a star to power the process? That's the question that has scientists completely stumped. The research team knew they were looking at something unusual, so they dug deeper into the data. The disk around the planet is about 20 times wider than the distance between Earth and the Sun. It's made of gas and dust, the same stuff planets are built from. But what caught their attention was the chemistry. When they analyzed the light coming from the disk, they found something odd: water vapor. Now, water vapor in space isn't that weird by itself, but here's the thing. The water only showed up when the planet was actively pulling in material. When the feeding stopped, the water disappeared. That's a pattern astronomers have seen before, but only in one place: young stars. When baby stars are growing, they pull in gas and dust from a disk around them. As that material slams into the star, it heats up to extreme temperatures. That heat breaks apart molecules and releases water vapor. It's a signature of something actively feeding and growing. CHA 1107-7626 was showing the exact same pattern: a planet acting like a star. But it gets stranger. The team found evidence of something else: magnetic fields. Stars generate powerful magnetic fields. Those fields act like funnels, channeling material from the disk directly onto the star's surface. That's what drives the extreme growth rates seen in young stars. Scientists thought only stars could do this. According to Dr. Almendra Sabad, the data suggests CHA 1107-7626 is doing the same thing. It's generating its own magnetic field. That field is acting like a vacuum, pulling gas and dust in at incredible speeds. When the material hits the planet, it heats up, causing the brightness flares the telescopes detected. In the official press release, Dr. Almendra Sabad said this is the strongest feeding event ever recorded for a planetary mass object. He went on to say it blurs the very definition of what a planet is. And that's the real question now. Is this even a planet? Here's where things get philosophical. What actually defines a planet? For most of human history, the answer seems simple. Planets orbit stars. They're smaller than stars. They don't produce their own light. Done. But the universe doesn't care about our definitions, and objects like CHA 1107-7626 are forcing scientists to rethink the rules. Traditionally, the line between a planet and a star comes down to mass. If an object is massive enough, about 13 times the mass of Jupiter, it can ignite nuclear fusion in its core. That's when it becomes a star. Anything below that threshold stays a planet. CHA 1107 is somewhere between 5 and 10 Jupiter masses. That puts it firmly in the planet category. It's not massive enough to ignite fusion, but it's behaving like a star in almost every other way. This raises a bigger question. Did CHA 1107-7626 form like a planet, or did it form like a star? Most planets form inside a disk around an existing star. Dust and gas clump together over millions of years, slowly building up into a planet. But some scientists think CHA 1107-7626 formed differently. They think it collapsed directly from a cloud of gas, just like a star would do. It just didn't have enough mass to finish the job. Dr. Alex Schultz from the University of St. Andrews, who worked on this study, believes that's exactly what happened. In interviews, he said the data leans towards CHA 1107-7626 forming in isolation, like a star, rather than being kicked out of a solar system. If that's true, it means there could be a huge population of these objects out there. Too small to be stars, too weird to be normal planets, just drifting through space invisible and unknown, until they do something like this. So if CHA 1107-7626 isn't alone, how many other rogue planets could be lurking in the darkness? The numbers are staggering. NASA scientists estimate that our galaxy contains about 200 to 400 billion stars. Now, based on recent studies, researchers believe there could be 20 rogue planets for every star in the Milky Way. That's trillions of rogue planets just in the Milky Way alone. Some estimates go even higher. One study suggested the real number could be 100,000 rogue planets for every star. If that's true, we're talking quadrillions of dark worlds drifting silently through space. Most of them are impossible to see. They don't produce light, they're too far away to reflect light from distant stars, and they're freezing cold, making them nearly impossible to infrared telescopes. But every once in a while, we find one that's doing something that makes it visible, like CHA 1107-7626.
And here's a chilling thought. Some of those rogue planets could be heading toward us right now. Not in a Hollywood disaster movie way, but in a slow, inevitable drift through space. According to one study, the odds of a rogue planet entering our solar system and threatening Earth are about 1 in a trillion over the next 1,000 years. Slim odds, but not zero. Let's play out the scenario. What would actually happen if a rogue planet entered our solar system? First, understand that space is big, really big. Even if a rogue planet entered the outer edges of our solar system, the chances of it hitting anything directly are extremely low. But that doesn't mean it would be harmless. A rogue planet's gravity would start pulling on everything nearby. If it passed close to Jupiter or Saturn, it could fling smaller objects like asteroids and comets toward the inner solar system, toward us. If it got closer, things would get worse. A rogue planet passing near Earth wouldn't have to hit us to cause problems. Its gravity could stretch and squeeze our planet, triggering massive earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. It could also mess with Earth's orbit, pulling us slightly closer to or farther from the sun. Closer to the sun, we'd experience short, scorching hot summers, followed by long, brutal winters. Crops would fail. Ecosystems would collapse. Farther from the sun, Earth would start freezing. Ice caps would expand, oceans would cool. Eventually, we'd enter a new ice age. But here's the thing, we'd likely see it coming, decades, maybe centuries in advance. Astronomers constantly scan the sky for objects that could pose a threat. A rogue planet would be big enough and close enough to detect long before it became a problem. And recent research suggests something even stranger. Our sun might actually capture rogue planets. Scientists found that if a rogue planet passes through our solar system at the right speed and angle, the sun's gravity could trap it in a distant orbit. It wouldn't hit anything, but it would stay, forever. Some researchers think there might already be captured rogue planets hiding in the outer reaches of our solar system, far beyond Pluto. We just haven't found them yet. Back to CHA 1107-762. What's happening with it now? The feeding event that astronomers observed in 2025 has slowed down. The planet is still surrounded by its disk, but the dramatic flares have stopped. For now. But scientists are watching it closely. Telescopes around the world are pointed at it, waiting for the next burst of activity. Because if this happened once, it could happen again. There's also a new telescope coming soon that will change everything. It's called the Extremely Large Telescope, and it's being built in Chile by the European Southern Observatory. When it starts operating, it will be able to see rogue planets in far greater detail than ever before. Astronomers will be able to map their disks, measure their magnetic fields, and catch these feeding events as they happen. That means more discoveries, more mysteries, and hopefully more answers. The research team behind this discovery has already submitted their findings to one of the top astronomy journals. The paper is being reviewed right now. When it's officially published, we'll get even more data about what's really happening with CHA 1107-762. And NASA's upcoming Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope, set to launch soon, is specifically designed to hunt for rogue planets. Scientists estimate it could find up to 400 Earth-mass rogue planets during its mission. Each one will give us more clues about how these objects form, how they evolve, and whether they're all doing strange things like CHA 1107-762. So here's where we stand. On October 2nd, 2025, astronomers announced the discovery of a rogue planet devouring material at 6 billion tons per second, the fastest growth rate ever recorded for a planet. It's generating magnetic fields like a star. It's pulling in gas and dust like a star. It's showing chemical signatures like a star. But it's not massive enough to actually be a star. Scientists are divided on what it really is. Some say it's a planet that formed in isolation, others think it's a failed star, and a few believe it might be something entirely new, a category of object we don't even have a name for yet. What we do know is this: there are trillions of rogue planets out there, in the darkness. Most of them are invisible, most of them are silent. But every once in a while, one of them does something that forces us to rewrite the rules. CHA 1107-762 is one of those objects, and it's still out there, 620 light-years away, surrounded by its glowing disk, quietly challenging everything we thought we understood about how planets work. As new data comes in, we'll keep you updated. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next discovery. Because if this planet taught us anything, it's that space is full of surprises, and some of the biggest mysteries are hiding in the darkest corners of the universe.